Alright, welcome back to the Acceleration Project. This is Brian MacArthur again. I'm going to move on to an experience that wasn't in that sleep paralysis state with the guides. It was actually an experience through meditation. And I'll have more of the experiences with the guides in the future. But I feel that this event that happened in a meditative state is a very important one. And so what happened was I was in a deep meditation. I'd probably been meditating for about 45 minutes at that point. And all of a sudden, I saw two eyes looking back at me. And I got to tell you, a lot of times when I meditate, I actually prefer to meditate with my eyes open. And I've made these special goggles. They're just motorcycle goggles, but you could use swimming goggles as well and just paint it black. And so you have absolute blackness, and you can stare into the blackness and let things come out. I find it much easier to visualize, and find it a lot easier to see with the third eye as well. So anyways, I had those on, and I was staring into the darkness, and I saw these two eyes looking back at me. And the more I meditated, the more relaxed I got, the more this form began to take shape. And I realized that it was me. I was staring back at myself. But I knew it wasn't exactly me. It was me on a different dimensional plane, a different dimensional plane. And it was amazing, because as I kind of began this thought and feeling communication, all of a sudden another one appeared right beside him. And as that happened, another one appeared beside me. And then another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So there was this whole circle. But he wasn't on the other side of the circle. We were actually both in the middle, and there was two circles. We each had our own circle. And I don't know if you know what the Vesica Pisces is, but it's two interlocked circles. And that's the configuration we were all sitting in. And it was very interesting, because I started hearing this rhythm and this kind of a tribal beat, and I could hear this native singing, and there's this beautifully authentic and raw sounds and music, and very rhythmic. And all of a sudden I just understood that with this pulse, this rhythm, I was to focus intensely on the third eye, which essentially is the seat of consciousness. It's the pineal gland where our consciousness actually stems from. And what I was to do is, with the rhythm, I was to breathe in and then do what's called a power breath, which is kind of... And so you create a pressure and then you release. And what I was to do was to actually breathe life and understanding into where I was at that specific moment in time. Breathe in, and then as I released, I was to move my consciousness to the next person, the next me. And we were all doing this in tandem. hopping from one to the next, to the next, to the next, through the entire circle. And the other circle was doing the same thing. So we had these two rotations of energy going on, and as we were doing this boom, 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 it was just creating this intense vortex effect. And I realized that it wasn't just a Vesic Pisces, but it expanded, and there was circles all over, and it was really an infinite grid of the flower of life. If you guys have seen that, it's really all geometry, all structure within the universe lies within that pattern, the flower of life. If you haven't checked it out, I really urge you to go research the flower of life and other sacred geometry. Because when I first got into it, I never really understood how much it is a key of unlocking kind of the secrets of the universe. And so anyways, there's infinite number of these circles of myself vortexing all these energies, and really living in that music and being the music and moving with it. And as we were all doing that, in between me and the initial other me, as I, this whole time I was, as all of this is happening, I was still staring into the opposing person's eyes, the opposing me. I was staring into his eyes. And this vortex effect, I could feel that all of these versions of me, they were all doing it. This was a ceremony. Every single one of those versions of me was actually doing this ceremony for this version of me, like this one. And I felt so privileged, all that effort and all of that love and understanding for me. It was wonderful. And really the co-pilot, the person that was really channeling most of the energy was the opposing me. And so me and him were kind of the catalyst to ground all of this energy that was being generated. And right in between us, we started seeing this immensely beautiful, flowing geometry, once again, coming up from the ground, almost like a bonfire, just a huge, circulating, undulating geometry. And it just got more and more complex until it was just this bright light. And then eventually all that pattern settled into the most incredibly beautiful form I've ever witnessed. And at that point I understood that I was seeing my true self, my higher self, my complete essence. And I was completely awestruck. Truly a moment of remembering, but also a moment of excitement and understanding that we're all like that. In the deepest essence of ourself, on those higher dimensional planes, we are absolutely awe-striking. And this figure, I still remember what he looks like. I still remember how he feels. It's like this imprint in my mind, even though there's no way that I could explain it. So you're gonna have to just go with the story anyways. Maybe someday I'll be able to draw it, but even if, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, the story is far from over. It's being essentially began a conversation with me, and he was very tall, incredibly tall. I mean, I'm 6'4", but I was sitting cross-legged still, but he was probably a good between 16 and 20 feet tall, maybe. I mean, he was, well, probably more around 16 feet. Maybe taller though, I'm not sure. Anyways, he told me to, we started this communication, and once again kind of teaching me all these things, even though I didn't understand what it was that he was teaching me, but he was teaching me all these things, and it came to the point where he said something that completely took the entire experience to another level, and it's amazing how just a few words can do that. Even though the words in the context and in this realm might not feel as powerful as it did at that moment, but he was looking at me right in the eyes, in these intense eyes with so much wisdom, so much energy, so much in behind there. He looked at me with those eyes deep into my soul, and he said, "Stand up." And in that moment, I understood what he was really saying. He was saying, stand up like him. Come into my own. Become him. It's time. We need to all stand up. Become our own. Be who we're truly meant to be. Once I did that, I stood up. The top of my head was probably only to around the belly button area. Stood up, but all of a sudden, because as I stood up, I felt that standing up like him. And I just stood up with this intense confidence of being, movement into what it truly meant. And as I stood up, I felt my entire self expanding to the size of him. And I turned around and I let myself become him. And as I did that, I felt the immenseness of what that meant. And as I kind of took a few moments to process that, which was a lot, I kind of felt this ultimate relaxation that it's happened. I kind of felt myself drifting up, and I kind of got the message that the assignment was over, and now it was time to play. And so I started kind of flying around, communicating with nature, flying through all these mountain valleys, and I got to the ocean, and I flew into the ocean, and I was actually flying in the ocean, communicating with the whales, and all this amazing stuff. And I'm glad that I let that playtime happen, because it was a pretty heavy duty experience, and I think I needed that to lighten the whole thing up at the end. So that's one more experience from the life of Brian MacArthur. So thanks for joining me again. I'm really excited to hear your stories. So come back again soon to the Acceleration Project. Thanks.